What if the universe had no message for you? No hidden pattern, no divine plan, no grand answer? What if all your suffering meant nothing? And what if that didn't break you, but freed you? What if you stopped asking why and started living anyway? This is not a cry of despair. It's a declaration of war against the void, a call to those who refuse to give in to meaninglessness by becoming the meaning themselves. This is Absurdism, and in this film, we'll explore what the absurd truly is, why Sisyphus is the ultimate hero, what Camus really meant by freedom, and how to live without illusions, but with fire. Let's begin. Chapter 1. What is absurdism? There is a conflict buried deep in the human soul. We crave meaning, we ache for purpose, we seek order in the chaos. But the universe? It's silent, indifferent, cold. This collision between our search for clarity and a world that offers none is what Camus called the absurd. It's not depression, not nihilism, not surrender. It is the moment you realize the world doesn't owe you meaning. But maybe you felt that already. Maybe it was the heartbreak that shattered you, the dream that died, the silence after someone left, and for a moment, it all felt pointless. What if all of that truly meant nothing? And if you did, what would that mean? That even without answers, you still choose to rise. You open your eyes. You stand. You live. Absurdism is not about giving up. It's about giving up the search for what doesn't exist and creating something in its place. Chapter 2. Camus and the myth of Sisyphus. The Greek myth goes like this. Sisyphus defied the gods. He tricked death. He refused to submit. He chose rebellion over obedience, cleverness over fear, freedom over fate. So the gods punished him, not with fire, not with death, but with monotony, repetition, the slow erosion of meaning. They cursed him to push a massive boulder up a hill, only to watch it roll back down, again and again, forever. No climax, no reward, no escape, and yet he wipes his brow. He begins again. A life of meaningless effort, a cycle without end, a task that mocks his will, and yet he does not quit. He does not break. He pushes, not because there's hope, not because he'll win, but because he is alive. Camus looked at this myth and didn't see a tragedy. He saw a mirror, a symbol, a man who, despite it all, keeps going. The struggle itself is enough to fill a man's heart. Albert Camus. He said, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." Why? Because when you accept the absurd, when you stop demanding life to make sense, its weight no longer crushes you. You are no longer begging for meaning. You are creating despite its absence. You become the one carrying it willingly. The boulder is still there, but now it's yours. Chapter 3. The Absurd Hero. What does it mean to live absurdly? It means to live without appeal to gods, to fate, to final answers, without illusions, no comfort in fake meaning. With intensity, because this moment is all there is, you don't pretend life is meaningful. You don't collapse because it isn't. You live on the edge of truth, fully awake, fully burning. Camus once wrote, "Live to the point of tears, not because life is tragic, but because you're alive enough to feel it, to cry over beauty, to scream into the silence, to dance in defiance of death." The absurd hero knows the script is blank and still takes the stage. They create, they love, they suffer, eyes open. They write their story with no audience, no reward, no permission. Not because they believe it will last, but because they were here. To live absurdly is to stare into the abyss and laugh, to see the darkness and become the flame, to know it's all meaningless and sing anyway. That is the absurd hero. Not blind, not broken, but burning. Chapter 4. Absurdism versus religion, nihilism, existentialism. Absurdism is often misunderstood. People confuse it with other philosophies because it doesn't fit neatly in any box. So let's be clear. It is not religion. Religion gives you a story, a beginning, an end, a purpose for your pain, a sky to look up to. In religion, suffering becomes a test. Death becomes a doorway. Everything has a reason. But absurdism? It gives you no reward, no heaven, no guiding hand. The universe doesn't explain itself. It doesn't tell you why that person left, or why the storm didn't spare you. It doesn't comfort you, even when you scream. And yet, absurdism still tells you to rise. Not because your suffering was meant to be, but because you are still here, and that's enough. It is not nihilism. Nihilism says, nothing matters, so why bother? It sinks. It collapses into silence. It says, don't even try. Nihilism is the room that grows darker the longer you sit in it. The voice that says, none of this will last anyway, so quit. But absurdism? Absurdism is the one who lights a candle in that darkness. It doesn't deny the void. It defies it. It sees the emptiness and builds anyway. Paints anyway. Laughs anyway. Not because it believes the laughter will echo forever, but because it's your voice and you chose to speak. It is not existentialism. Existentialism says, you can create your own meaning, and it's partly right. But absurdism offers something colder and strangely more freeing. It says, don't pretend it means anything. Don't lie to yourself just to feel safe. Existentialism often believes that once you make meaning, it's real. Absurdism knows you invented it, and it won't last. Like a child drawing stars on the ceiling, they're not the real sky, but they're yours. And that's the point. There is no script, no director, no applause. But you speak anyway. Not because it matters forever, but because you're still here. This isn't belief or despair. It's defiance, a quiet rebellion against silence, comfort, and the hunger for answers. The universe stays silent, so you act, you build, you sing. Not because it means something, but because you are alive now. And that is enough. Chapter 5. Absurdism today. How to live in a world that makes no sense. Modern life is louder than ever. Noise everywhere. Media, politics, algorithms, crisis, performance. We scroll, we compare, we chase numbers. You're told your value is your follower count. Your worth is your productivity. Your happiness is a product. And underneath it all, we're still asking, what does it all mean? Absurdism answers, nothing. So stop waiting and start living. The death of God wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The absurdist sees this chaos clearly, doesn't flinch, doesn't run. They build art in the ruins. They find joy in the pointless. They live without illusions, but with courage. As Camus put it, in the depths of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer. The absurdist doesn't escape the cold. They carry their own warmth into it. Absurdism is not apathy. It's the most radical kind of mental clarity. Conclusion: choose to live without why. You don't need to understand life to live it. You don't need a meaning to create beauty. You don't need an answer to rise, to rebel, to choose. Camus once said, "The struggle itself is enough to fill a man's heart." And now, it's your turn to become the flame in the void, to rise each morning knowing it's all absurd, and still smile. Because what if the universe really had no message for you? Good. That means you can speak first. You can write the first word, make the first move, set the fire. You are the flame in the dark. You are the one who lives despite it all. This isn't just philosophy. It's how you stay upright when everything falls, how you walk through a silent cosmos with your head high, a fire the void can't extinguish, a voice the silence can't erase. The universe may never speak, but you can still sing. This is Absurdism. This is your next chapter. Subscribe